All right, hello. My name is Kelly, and I've been placed at Jewish Family Service as the program assistant for their Bigs and Littles mentoring program for the past 10 months. I recently graduated, not recently, a year ago, graduated from the University of Dayton in May of 2012. And in August, I'm going to be attending graduate school at UC to get my master's in social work. But today I want to talk to you guys about what Public Allies has taught me about community building. And in order to do that, I need to tell you a little bit about my background. I like to say that I grew up in a white suburban bubble. That's a phrase that I often use to describe my upbringing. And all of my friends that I had from grade school through college even, also were from white suburban bubbles. So I grew up with people who were very, very similar to myself. Before joining Public Allies, I was a member of, I'll talk about three main communities. One was Anderson Township, which is where I grew up and where I live today still. Another one was St. Ursula Academy, which is the high school I attended. And lastly, the University of Dayton, which is the college I went to. So, little background on Anderson Township. Its total population is 43,857. 96.6% of the people who live there are white, 0.7% African American, and 2.7% other minorities. So that's a picture of an Anderson, kind of our community center, and the one below that is my neighborhood. That's not my house. That's a picture of the country club that's down the street from my house. So, another community was St. Ursula Academy. Total enrollment of 639 students and 7% minority students. And these are some pictures of the activities that we had to do as part of our senior year. The bottom one is graduation, and the top one is senior tea. The University of Dayton is another community that I'm a member of. And total undergraduate enrollment is 7,479 students, and 7% minority students. So this is a picture of people walking to and from class in front of the building where most of my classes were, St. Joseph's Hall. And the picture below is a picture from my graduation. So, like you can see, I've been surrounded by people who are like me in terms of race, education, and socioeconomic status my entire life. Until I went to Public Allies. So this is the Public Allies community from our core retreat. This was the picture we took at Camp Joy, one of the first days we all took it. So when Public Allies started, I made several attempts to separate myself from my background in an attempt to hide my difference from the class. And I tried to pretend like I was not as privileged as I am, because I felt that people in the class would not be as open to forming friendships with me because of my privilege. During our mid-year gift seed, those of you who aren't familiar with gift seed, it's where we meet with our TSP groups, our team service project groups, and we kind of have a giving and receiving feedback session. So one person sits in the middle and you ask questions, and people respond to you honestly. I don't think weirdly. So one of the questions that I posed to my team service project was, is there anything you would like to share about me that you don't think I realize about myself? And Trey, sitting here, he was in my team service project this year, and he answered saying that you may feel that being privileged is a bad thing, but you are what you are. Just be you and don't feel bad about how you were raised. So this was a defining moment for me in my personal development with Public Allies. His answer made me realize that it is okay to not feel guilty about my background. And it provided me with an understanding. After he said that, I kind of thought more about that, and it was really difficult to keep making attempts to hide my privilege or pretend to be something that I'm not. And so Trey's response kind of gave me some time to reflect and think about the fact that white guilt in and of itself is oppressive. Because in trying to hide my differences from the class of Public Allies, I was further pointing out our differences, which could have very easily led to building an oppressive relationship with my fellow class. So instead of letting that happen, I challenged myself to respond differently when people would make playful, calling out comments to me about my privilege. For example, I totaled my car this year, for the third time. And in getting another one, my dad let me borrow his Audi. So I'm driving around the city with an Audi. And while we were trying to find a used car to replace it. And we replaced it with a used car that doesn't have automatic windows. So one day, I'm driving a fellow ally to another part of training, and I'm cranking my windows, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so annoying. Like, my arm is getting tired. It's like, and so this person in my class called me out, and he was just like, oh my gosh, your life is so hard, you don't have automatic windows. So just those little playful comments, people calling me out for that, really changed my view about my privilege. And in the beginning, when I would get defensive, when people would playfully call me out for it, I learned to use these opportunities to check myself. So in my previous communities, I never had anyone call me out for a comment about cranking my windows, or, I can't think of anything else like that. But I never had anybody in my communities call me out because we probably all would have made that same comment. But through interactions with my public allies class, I not only learned the extent of my privilege, but I was given the opportunity to think about what my privilege can allow me to do. So public allies has 5 core values: collaboration, continuous learning, diversity, and inclusion, integrity, and focus on assets. So I feel that what I've learned about my privilege and how that has helped to shape my personal growth and development, it plays out in all 5 of these areas. I'm running low on time, so I'm going to breeze through these. Collaboration, I've learned through the team service project that there is a huge value of collaborating people who have different thoughts and perspectives, and you can learn so much from that. Continuous learning, I'm still working on popping my white suburban bubble, but these past 9 months with Public Allies has been the starting force in getting me to break out of that, and also getting other people from my communities who are also stuck in that bubble to do the same. Diversity and inclusion, obviously, it's a very diverse experience for me. But for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm a part of a diverse group of individuals. And I've made wonderful connections with people in this class. Despite our differences and despite our backgrounds, we're all able to come together and feel included and feel as one. At least that's been my experience. Integrity, after the gifts experience, when I answered that question, I've been able to feel comfortable being myself and comfortable being a privileged white girl in a very diverse city. And then focus on assets. This experience has allowed me to discover my personal assets and how I can draw on others. So, what privilege has really taught me about community building is that I've learned that people have unstated assumptions about people who are similar to them. Most people will feel comfortable making a statement about another group of people when they are talking to the person who looks the same as them. They don't expect them to challenge them, they just assume that they will be on the same page. But as I was being caught up by my peers, I began to check myself and check my own privilege and how that was coming across, which allowed me to begin checking others. And this caused me to be a mobilizer in community building. So what does that mean, being a mobilizer in community building? Well, first, we need to talk about what community means. This is a picture from, I think it was mid-year retreat. We were doing the community continuum training. And we were asked to stand next to one of the sides that we felt most similar with. So one of the definitions of community is a community of leaders working together to achieve a common goal. The other one is a group of individuals having a similar or shared experience. So during this activity, I stood next to the group of individuals having a similar or shared experience, which makes sense given the communities that I was a part of before Public Allies. Everyone was very, very similar to me in terms of race, education, and socioeconomic status. But now, from what I've learned in my Public Allies class, I stand much closer to the community of leaders working together to achieve a common goal. You don't all have to be the same, you don't have to look the same, you don't have to think the same, but you're working together to achieve a common goal, and those differences is what makes that happen. So how do you get people to work together to accomplish something? You mobilize them. You challenge other people to view differently. You challenge other people to open themselves up to learning about other groups of people and different perspectives. It means encouraging other people to break out of their bubbles and break out of their sameness and their likeness, and learn new things from other people who are different from them. These are all things that Public Allies has done for me. But Public Allies has also taught me how to help people build communities with people who are different from them. My community is now Public Allies, and it is diverse, and it is rich in ideas, personalities, beliefs, and opinions, and I could not have been happier that I'm breaking out and what's for